Now, Lewes is a very interesting station because there is very clearly a disused platform with the track bed being filled in, which opens up the concourse of the station to make interchanging between the current remaining platforms much easier. I presume this track and the platforms would have been for the services which would have connected to the lines which nowadays only run as far as East Grinstead and Uckfield, which I think would be a very handy connection to still have today, because if you were to make the connection by train, it would just take forever because you would have to go all the way up into Brighton in London before then coming all the way back down. And it is here at Lewes where I am starting a walk today around the town, then out up onto the hills. I'm fairly certain it was this station which was the first one I visited after lockdown 6 years ago. And what better place to start than right around the corner from the station, where there is a mound in the grounds of Lewes Priory that's overlooking the South Downs Hills and the town of Lewes itself, where there is a castle. We'll take a closer look at that later. So when I came here 6 years ago, I was just changing trains quickly to get to Seaford and Newhaven for the first time. But when I was coming home, I had enough time before my train to London that I thought, let me just quickly have a wander around Lewes. And I came here to the Mound and the Priory, but that's all I had time for. So I've been meaning to come back here for quite a while to give the town a much more in-depth exploration. So the Priory ruins here are just fantastic. I remember this came as such a pleasant surprise at the end of that Seaford trip, as I wasn't planning to visit any of Lewes that day. And like many other ruins, a lot of which we've already seen in videos gone by, Lewes Priory here is a victim of King Henry VIII's dissolution of the monasteries. Oh, I didn't actually realise that the railway ran right next door here. That'll be the line to Brighton. Now you might think that this tower has something to do with the Priory, considering the ruins are literally just right over there. But no, this was actually built at a much later date in the 1800s, when this was private land, purely as just a decorative piece. I think it's called the Prospect Tower. And that is as much of Lewes as I have explored before. So everything now is going to be brand new for me, such as Southover Grange Gardens here. I was so focused on this really nice arts building ahead of me that I almost didn't realise that I'm passing over the railway line here. Not just that, but I'm actually on top of part of Lewes's station platform. Or one of theirs. They have quite a few. Obviously not quite as many as before. Whew, that was quite a climb up to the High Street and Lewes Castle. Although tactically, of course, it will be on top of a hill. There is an admission fee to reach that part of it. Despite being on a hill, it's of course not the highest hill in the area, although in the town of Lewes itself it would be. And that's because this would have been an important location to defend, because we are just in the valley of the South Downs. It's just an easy place to reach from the coast rather than the cliff faces along here. This is a pretty cool part of history here which I was unaware of. The Battle of Lewes in 1264, Simon de Montfort's army of 5,000 barons and Londoners defeated royalist forces of twice that size under Henry III on the downs northwest of Lewes. The demise of Lewes signed next day led to the first English Parliament meeting at Westminster in 1265. I was certain that this here was a church, but I think the tower is all that remains, as this plaque here suggests it's the Market Tower. Ah, there's a bus about to block it. no, it was never a church tower. It just very much looks that way. It was erected to house the old town clock and the bell taken from a church which was demolished in 1761. It was built in 1792. Oh, it was even the town hall for a while. Lewes is a place which just has history hidden on every corner. It's so fascinating to walk through and just discover things along the way. So I've found the main hub of Lewes now with this pedestrianised shopping street. I just saw what looked to be the most historical looking Waterstones I've ever seen, and I'm passing over the River Ouse. I love Harvey's brewery over there, which helps to create this valley in the South Downs, and considering the river would connect with the sea not too far away, I can see why this was a perfect place to set up this town of Lewes. Oh, it's not quite pedestrianised along here, but cars are few and far between, that you will pretty much be safe if you're walking in the road. Okay, so I'm going to start to leave Lewes behind now. If you think I've missed out anything, let me know, because I do think I plan on doing another walk through the town at some point in the future. And I am having to climb away from the town because it is just surrounded by hills, though keep in mind that I won't be going up the South Downs. I'm kind of doing hills just to the north of it, but obviously it is not the North Downs, as that's quite a while away. I guess the one saving grace about having to climb the hills on today's walk is that for once it is not 30 degrees. It's more about 22 today. Genuine lifesaver. Wow, it's great to see the course of the River Ouse snaking its way down through the valley. I think it might be that hill over there which I am aiming for. I love that patch of grass on the side of the hill over there. That's quite strange. That must have been someone's land or something. Would there have been a farm there? It might not be the best optimal location for it. I could have done a shortcut down in the valley, but then of course I would have had to climb up the hill using that path over there at some point anyways. But I wanted to come up to the hills themselves, and from here at least the elevation will be mostly level. I won't have to do any climbing to reach where I want to go. Oh, I think I have my answer as to what that was. The Bible enclosure. This medieval stock enclosure was used to shelter and corral livestock when the animals ranged over large remote areas of open pasture. Ah, that makes sense now. And I was so focused on the views and the hills in the direction in which I'm travelling that I was not expecting the view south of here, actually towards the North Downs. Is the wind turbine ruining the view? I'll leave that up to you. It seems like there's another enclosure over there. It's definitely not the same one because it's a different shade of green. I don't think that's the same one which was on the map anyways. We are slowly getting towards the top of the hill. Not that we're really climbing the hill here, but we are nearing it. So the only real climb I had was right at the end to reach the summit. And before all these people get here, it looks like I actually might have it to myself. Well, apart from all the horses up here, welcome to Mount Caburn. Wow, hello you lot. You're so used to people, you're not phased at all. Such a huge group of them. This has come as a complete surprise. And what a view this is. I can actually see a stream making its confluence with the River Ouse down there. We will actually see that stream once we get down into the valley. I can even spot a railway station, which is our next port of call. And then beyond that, we're walking to the next stop up the line. So there's no more hills. It's just going to be a countryside walk beyond here. So I'm going to make the most of the scenery. Now, it was actually when I was travelling along the railway beyond Lewes that I spotted Mount Caburn here. Quite a few times actually, which will make sense later once we get down to the station. And it's like it was teasing me. So I'm glad that 6 years later I've finally managed to climb the hill here. Well, I've ended up having my lunch on Mount Caburn rather than at the station, which is where I wanted to have it because it's the halfway point of the walk, because I wanted to get a shot of a train, but the next one was about half an hour away. Oh well, at least the views are much better up here than they would be at the station, even if it is really windy. Wow, I can spot Glynde Place over there, which looks like a rather magnificent building actually. I did think about walking up to see it, but because I can see it from here, I don't necessarily need to do that because I would just have to backtrack along the road anyways. This might just be one of the quaintest post offices I've ever come across. It even has a Victorian post box attached to it. It's not even really a post box, it's just a letter slot. Here I am crossing the Glynde stream, which is the tributary of the Ouse that we saw earlier from on top of the mound. And these names might start to give you a clue as to what the station is called. So yes, that station is Glynde, if you haven't worked it out already. I remember there being a permit to travel machine right here. We've moved on from the use of them nowadays. It's not like it was working then anyways. So it was only a few short weeks after I first visited Seaford that I visited Eastbourne for the first time. So I had to come back through Lewes, and back then I was trying to stop at all of the stations, and weirdly here at Glynde you couldn't get a direct train to the next stop up the line. I wonder if that's different now. Is the next train going to stop there? Yes, it is. So what I had to do was come here to Glynde, reverse back to Lewes, and then catch a fast train through here to stop at the next station, which means that I passed by Mount Caburn 3 times in like 20 minutes. So yes, I'm glad I finally got to visit it. And I think I was only here at Glynde station for about 6 minutes. I didn't have long. I don't remember seeing the brilliant Steamworks pub that's using the old station building, or even the Trevor Arms pub just across the road. Someone from on top of the hill said that if they get the next train, they're going to be part of the Sunday lunch rush hour. I didn't believe them. I now believe them. I had no idea that a Sunday lunch rush hour was even a thing. I'm coming up to my first village after leaving Glynde, as indicated by this village sign here, Fell, which does have a park, like one of them private estate parks, which does have public footpaths across. So that would be quite fun. We got another contender for quaintest post office. I have actually come away from the estate quite quickly just because I thought to have a look at the village of Fell itself. And I'm glad I did because it's really nice. It's like quintessential England. Okay, I've come back into the estate, and as always in places like this, the crown jewel is the manor house. And that really is a fine, grand old building. I found out that they actually film Bake Off The Professionals here. Not the main show, the Professionals variant, in a dedicated set they built in the former stables. And they've been doing that for, I think, close to a decade now. So it's pretty cool to come to that location. And I'm surprised how empty it is. Maybe it's because the house is closing up for the day now. You can enter it with an admission, I believe. But then as I walked into the village, so quiet. I turn the corner, there's a pub, and all of a sudden it's just loud because everybody's in the garden eating Sunday dinner. That's where everyone's at. They've gone for their walk in the morning and now they're having lunch or dinner. I've been looking out along here for the Fell Tower. Because it's on private land, I can't quite go up to it. And it's a similar scenario to the Prospect Tower in Lewes, as it was built as a decorative piece, I believe. And built later in the 18th century, whilst the manor house here dates from the 15th century. And I've just got the most beautiful countryside walk now. I feel like it's been forever since I've been in the middle of a cornfield, and it's just so much better as well because you got the view of the South Downs hills. People make a point when they're high up that everything down below looks as tiny as ants. But actually, from down here, everything up on the summit looks like ants. It's quite amusing to just see a tiny speck scurrying along really, really slowly. Wow, well this is completely unexpected. I've stumbled across a bit of a tourist attraction here. Seems to just kind of be like a farmhouse and stuff. This is Charleston. This is really nice, nestled right at the depths of the South Downs. I think this is probably my last notable location before the station I'm ending at. The little village of Selmerston. Not that there's too much to it. There's some properties dotted around, but it's not a built-up village like some of the others we've seen today. There is a little church tucked away down there. It's been nice to just stroll along through the countryside today. Because it's not boiling hot, it's manageable, and yeah, it feels like a nice change of pace. Even if I have burnt the back of my leg slightly, that's okay. We're putting up with it. Wow, we've got quite a selection of new houses being built here. And I'm intersecting the Vanguard Way footpath, which I think actually ends relatively nearby at Eastbourne. Doesn't it begin back at Croydon? Well, what a really nice way to end the walk, and the path brings me right out beside the station, which has a beautiful old signal box. This is the most unnecessarily big blackboard I've ever seen. So welcome to Berwick, not to be confused with Berwick upon Tweed, not to be confused with North Berwick. It's fitting that I would do this station before North Berwick, especially considering it's in Scotland. I've already done Berwick upon Tweed though. It feels good to do this station after the shenanigans of having to reverse at Glynde before just to stop at this one. To now actually use it is really good. I think that means Polegate, which is the next station up the line, is now the only one on the line between Lewes and Bexhill. That's quite a few stations I've done on this line now. Today's adventure very much spawned from wanting to spend more time in Lewes, climbing that mound that I spotted from the train, and finally ticking off this station. That is how this walk came to be. And although it has ended, this is not the end of the video. Because I'm down south, I want to take advantage of something that's nearby. So I'm going to wait for the train. I've got about half an hour because it only gets an hourly service, Berwick. We'll look out for the mound out of the window, and I'll see you where I'm going.
The next station is Lewes.
So yes, I've decided to come down to Brighton Beach, which is exactly what I did after walking a section of the South Downs Way last year from Plumpton to Hassocks. Because if it's nearby and the railway runs to it, why not? This is probably the most perfect time to be at the beach. Genuinely, the coast at sunset looks just the most magical. It's just so amazing to be here. And to give you a little bit of context, I'm filming this on the day of the World Cup final. In fact, literally any minute now, Spain and Argentina are about to kick off. And if England was in the final, then I probably would have done this walk yesterday, so I absolutely do not miss it. But alas, we were in the third place playoff, which I did watch before heading to bed last night, and honestly, what a match. 6-4, 4-0 at half time to England. Saka with the hat-trick, Bellingham with the goal record. Probably the most entertaining match of the entire World Cup tournament for me. And it was won at first I didn't even care about. But I'm really proud that we had our best performance since 1966, our best result. What I'll probably do though is head up towards the pier soon, once my feet have dried off. Of course I went in the sea. And then kind of loop back around through the town, peek my head into a couple of pubs along the way to watch a few minutes of the first half, and then I'll probably just boot up the second half on my phone on the train home. And I am wondering how busy it's going to be, because it's always busy on the train home from Brighton to London in the evening. But maybe people are staying out for the match and it won't be as busy this time. We'll see. We got another contender for... fly landed on my finger.